Welcome everybody to season 5, episode 18 of Oz Media's Motivate Me 313 podcast. Looking forward to another great show today. Looking forward to you guys hearing the conversation and the guests that we have today. You're gonna definitely enjoy this whole talk. Let me go ahead and introduce everybody that's in the building today. Starting off with little big bro Yusuf T in the back on the ones and twos as always. Of course, you have myself Omar T. To the right, you got Sister Abida T. And our guest today, go ahead and give a round of applause to Ameera Hashwi, the lawyer. She's in the building, and today's topic is all about why the West gets Muslim women wrong, a lawyer's perspective. We're going to be talking about how, a lot of people think that they know what a Muslim woman thinks and how she approaches, when it comes to job search and what they do, when really it's a lot of assumption. And so we're going to hear from two women who are in the workforce field, and inshallah we'll hear what they have to say about the conversation, and we'll actually get their perspective instead of having to think about what's going to happen. We have them here to discuss, inshallah. So with that said, be sure to follow us on all of our socials. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Apple, and Spotify podcasts, all under Oz Media. You can find all those platforms on our website at ozmedia313.com. Shout out to the sponsors of the show: Juice Box, Holy Bowly, Wingfellas, Bits and Mocha, Chill Box, Melek at Kebab, Hanley International Academy, The Family Doc, GE Preparatory Academy, and Royal Kebab. Let's start off with our friends over there at Chillbox, Yusuf, and then we're going to officially get the show on the road. Shout out to Chillbox. Chillbox. Chillbox Convenience Stores, a proud family-owned business, has established a strong presence throughout Southeast Michigan. Chillbox branded gas partners are Valero, Shell, BP, Amoco, and Sunoco gas stations. Their mission is simple: to deliver fast, friendly, and convenient service to their valued customers. With a wide range of snacks, refreshing beverages, and food options, all offered at competitive prices, they aim to satisfy every craving with a smile. With 40 locations and more coming soon, all across Southeast Michigan, their commitment extends beyond providing convenience. They strive to be a reliable and trustworthy resource for their local communities. So be sure to go chill at Chillbox. All right, we're officially back, ready to get the show rolling. All right, so first and foremost, let's check in with the guest. How are you? Tell us a little bit about yourself. So, I introduced her as a lawyer, but I first of all want to hear all about Miss Wayne County. Go ahead and give her a round of applause. Currently Miss Wayne County, if we're correct, right?
You are correct.
All right, so she is Miss Wayne County. I know we had the runner-up for Miss Out of USA on the show a few months ago, but now we have Miss Wayne County, the winner. So tell us, Miss Wayne County, being a lawyer, maybe anything else you'd like to share, and let us get to know you a little better.
Okay, well, I'll give you a little bit of background on my journey into, competing in the Miss America Opportunity Program.
Yes.
So I actually started doing pageants a few years ago. I was scrolling on TikTok and I saw this girl who happened to be in law school at the time saying she's going to be competing in the Miss America program and how great it was and how it's the largest scholarship opportunity for girls, and I was like, sorry, for women. And I was like, that seems like a fun thing to do. And I had a free day. I was like, why not? I signed up for it. Next week or 2 weeks later, I was doing my first pageant. I fell in love with it, and I just kept going.
Wow, it's given a little bit of a Legally Blonde.
Legally Elle Woods was on my vision board when I first entered law school.
Wow, are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow, how cute. Okay, that's just, so like, what? I know you said you were just you had a free day and you were like just that was basically it.
Basically, I mean,
are you the oldest sister, youngest sister?
I am the oldest.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so I had a free day. I looked into it, and by that I mean, I did my research. I googled it, saw what you have to do to be in a pageant, and at that time there was it was just talent, evening gown, and interview, and onstage question.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, why not? Let me do it. I love it. I was a theater kid growing up, though I kind of stick back to the backstage stuff.
So natural performer.
Not really. I was a backstage girl.
Oh, okay.
I became a performer. We're getting there.
Okay.
But one step at a time.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. And so, my question to you is from that, now the lawyer part, right? You have people who think they know more than they should know, right? But there's people that say that being a lawyer is haram, all right? And especially you being an Arab woman, wearing the hijab, you obviously represent Muslims every day that you're walking into their position. So for those people who sit there and say that being a lawyer is haram, what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so I think people hear the word lawyer and automatically think liar.
Yeah.
Any of us who grew up wanting to be attorneys growing up probably had an aunt or uncle tell them at one point, don't be a lawyer. You're going to have to lie. Lying is haram. First and foremost, we don't lie, especially not in court. That's called perjury and it's a crime. And then if you are worried about committing anything haram in your field or in any field, talk to a sheikh. Figure out what areas of law can I practice and what areas of law can I not practice, because that's what I did.
Okay. What are your thoughts on
that? I have a question. Because when I was growing up, like I would always hear that as well. And then where it got sticky was where if you're actually defending someone, and let's say that later on and throughout the case that you found out that they actually are guilty, you still have to, kind of, be on their side. Yeah, defend them. So that's where that situation of, the right thing to do kind of gets blurry.
So I don't do criminal law.
You're
talking about criminal law specifically. Yeah. But typically your lawyer is going to have all the facts, in my opinion. Okay? But your lawyer's job is to argue that the case law is on your side.
Okay.
And what we're going to do is we're going to do the research and we're going to argue what we can to support your argument. Now, if you're worried about defending somebody, because you're like, oh, I don't agree with what this person did morally, don't put yourself in a legal career that requires you to do that. That's why I'm personally, I try to choose a specific legal fields that align with my beliefs.
I like that. Great breakdown of that. And obviously us, we don't know everything, and so I'm happy that you were able to explain that. And so
and I wanted to play like devil's advocate, like people that that listen in. And
for sure. So with that said, now this is where now you can even start sharing some answers as well. So the biggest stereotype in the West. Remember, the topic is about how, the West kind of views Muslims taking on these roles that they just think that maybe they're just these housewives or nurturing roles. And I know you're a teacher, but, you play a role that's important, that is, inshallah, future as a leader in a leadership position. So, that's kind of how I want you to come at it, Abid. So the biggest stereotype in the West is that Muslim women are oppressed or shy. When you walk into a courtroom with the hijab on, do you feel people underestimating you? And likewise for you as being a teacher, inshallah, and how do you use that maybe to your advantage? So do you feel like people are underestimating you?
So I'm going to be honest. I've been an attorney for a little bit over a year now. I've walked into a courtroom only a handful of times, and a couple of times opposing counsel wasn't even there. They didn't show up. So it was an easy one for me. I don't think people underestimate me because of my scarf. I think right now, if anything, they're going to underestimate us as women, especially because of our age. And the legal field's been changing. It's becoming more woman-led, woman-dominated. And it's a nice change to see. But I think if you're worried or, if you're worried about somebody judging you or having these thoughts, it's our job to prove them wrong. We're going to show up. We're going to do the job and do it exceptionally. So whatever like preconceived notions they had, we prove them wrong.
So you think more is about your age and than it is about you being a Muslim woman in that situation? Interesting. How about you, Abir?
Yeah, so I kind of want to dive deeper into this. So first of all, it depends on I think where you are. I feel like here we're blessed, especially in Dearborn or whatever. So I don't feel like that was ever a case. But I do remember like when I was going to Madonna University back in the day, and I'm a lot older, a lot of my classmates like really wouldn't approach me, and I'm not used to that. So I grew up in Hamtramck. I was predominantly Arab, Muslim, and then Dearborn, working in Dearborn. So it's like I never had that issue, right? So eventually once I started talking, sharing out loud, then they're like, oh, okay, she's cool, or she's knowledgeable, or we want to be her partner, she's gonna help us out, so it is a factor in some cases, but not so much. Like that's not a big deal. Like the hijab is not really a big deal anymore. But when it comes to leadership positions, it was like let's say principals were predominantly men, but now it's fair game. There's so many women principals, and they're doing an amazing job by proving them wrong, by being the ones that actually like change schools around. So yeah, definitely I would say more towards leadership positions in any field. But and I think it stems from people tend to prepare men for those positions than preparing women, especially at a younger age. Like boys and girls, they tend to do that. But we're switching the script, especially, you know, at Woodworth. We are creating women leaders and men leaders. So hopefully it'll be even more, and there won't be that, you know, weird divide.
That's a good answer too, Abid. I like that. And that's a good point. I'm gonna be honest with you. When you know, I mean, it's changing now, but I feel like growing up, they are preparing men to be a leader.
Like it's natural to be like, you know, to make a man more manlier, right? But women, like they don't take that time to invest in them, to give them their communication skills, the confidence. Like, but like now it's different. But I'm saying just growing up, I would say. But I feel like now it's definitely different. I feel like it's both. It's not as much.
So this next question, obviously, is like a lot to do with business, but I'm gonna try to fix it for where it makes sense for you guys. So, you know, obviously, a lot of the times going to these events, you know, where there's, you know, mixing and I don't want to call the word mingling, but, you know, networking, right? Going to these dinners, going to maybe these parties where maybe there's some, you know, drinking involved, but you should be there representing your school or whatever it may be, you know, as an attorney. And so, how do Muslim women navigate through these like meetings with the higher ups, I guess you could say, and like, you know, how would you, maybe you don't deal with that on a daily or monthly basis, how would you recommend someone to deal with that kind of situation? I'm sorry, I'm looking at you because I want you to start on this one. I'm sorry, I read, but
I'm not gonna lie, like I'm gonna be like really honest. It does help to have someone with you. And you're not gonna always have that case, but alhamdulillah, I've always had that case. Like having you at certain events or having my coworkers at certain events, like it does help. I am still shy. I do want to say I'm still shy. That's one thing that I am. I am still shy. However, like you just gotta kind of, you know, break through it and show your true colors. Because if you're naturally the way that you are, it's and you're welcoming and you're open and you carry a good conversation, I think it breaks the ice. Usually my name breaks the ice, Abir. They're like, Abir? I'm like, yeah, like, you know, the one you drink. And then and I'm joking. But anyways, yeah, so you just gotta kind of, humor always, you know, breaks the ice, showing them that you are a person as well. Stop, let me be myself. Anyways, and then just also knowing your craft, knowing what you do, and speaking eloquently about it. It just turns heads and gets you noticed and allows you to network.
how about you, Amita? Like, I'm sure you probably got your meetings and all that stuff going on as an attorney world.
Yeah, if you talk to any attorney, any law student, you'll know that most of our social events revolve around drinking.
Yeah.
And I do agree with what you said. If you can have somebody with you, it's really nice.
Yeah.
But if you can't, first of all, figure out what events you're comfortable in. And then also figure out how to navigate those events. So personally, when I go to these events, I always order myself a drink. Not an alcoholic drink, but I usually get myself like, get yourself a Coke, get yourself a soda, something to have something in your hand.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows what you're drinking.
Sure.
Nobody knows. And also, even if they ask, if they can respect somebody who's sober because of the choices they made in their life, they can respect you for not drinking because of your religious beliefs. There's no reason for them to look down upon you for, you know, just not wanting to drink.
Yeah.
And you'll be fine. Just like you said, speak eloquently, talk, be confident, show them that you know what you're doing and why you belong in this career and in this space, and you'll be fine.
I love that. I love that. I think both answers were great, and I agree with both of them. I think that if as long as you are confident and you know what you're doing, you know, Miss the English teacher, proper preparation prevents poor performance. Miss Hinton, Miss Hinton.
That's crazy. I just taught my kids that literally on Thursday.
Proper preparation prevents poor
5 P's.
Yeah, you know. So at the end of the day, if you're prepared, you'll be the most confident person, and it doesn't matter what situation is. You just got to go in there and just be ready to go.
And you guys, confidence is not something you're born with. You have to like train yourself for that. You know what I'm saying? The more you put yourself out there, the more you, you know, understand what your field is, and you become more confident. It just grows with you. So it's not something that you feel like, okay, I'm just not a confident person. You can work on that.
And it grows with experience. Yeah. I think the more of those events that you show up to, the more you'll start getting more comfortable. It's okay to, you know, make a mistake here and there. And as long as you are growing, I think that's the biggest thing, you know, so preparing yourself for that situation. Taking a quick break. Believe it or not, we're already 1/3 away from the show. So we're going to go ahead and get our next ad of today. Let's go ahead and give a shout out to our good friends over there at Royal Kebab, Yusuf and Hamtramck. Shout out to Royal Kebab. And then we're going to keep the show rolling. Shout out to Royal Kebab. Guess who's back? Back again. Royal Kebab is back. Tell a friend. Yes, that is right. The restaurant that you all have been dying for to open back up is officially back operating in Hamtramck. Royal Kebab offers the same mouth-watering Middle Eastern dishes as their sister company Melikat Kebab. You can order their lamb over rice, combo platters, shish platters, shawarma sandwiches or plates, fattoush and tabbouleh salads, all at the newly renovated Royal Kebab restaurant located on Kniff Street in Hamtramck, Michigan. So be sure to check out their website, royalkebab.com, before you make your next order and see why so many people have been raving about this restaurant. Okay, we are back, and now comes the amazing acronym of DEI. All right, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Okay, and obviously, you know the current administration. I don't know if they got rid of it officially, but they tried to get rid of it, and so. But long story short, it's still around, depending on where you're at, and people feel like some people get the position based off of feeding this quota or status quo. Do you feel that way with your position? And if not, what are your thoughts on people who may think that you got this certain position because of you being a minority, Muslim woman with the hijab on and everything like that? I mean, we could start with you, Amira.
Okay, I'll start off by saying DEI does not give anybody a leg up over anyone. What it does is that it levels the playing field. It makes sure that someone who may have been overlooked because their name is Muhammad on a piece of paper is getting the same opportunities as somebody else with the exact same credentials. I think people may go up to me and be like, "Hey, you only did this because you're hijabi," and they wanted it for DEI. Well, first of all, the current administration we're in right now is not supportive of DEI. Target got rid of DEI, and I'm sure a bunch of other companies did as well. There's nothing that's making anyone want to be diverse and inclusive. They wanted me because of who I am, and they wanted you guys, and you as well, because of who you are, because of your credentials, and it goes the same. It's the same for everyone else.
I bet you want to add on to that.
Yeah, honestly, the only thing that I think about is back in the day for like when it comes to colleges. But there was like talk about saying that they need to at least allow a couple students that are from other races, and so I really don't think that was an issue at all. Not that it's an issue or it's a way to get in. I don't think I ever experienced that, or that was the reason why I got into any of the job opportunities that I got.
Do you believe that it happens?
Maybe in the past, maybe like I said, I'm not sure, but I haven't seen it happen. Like I haven't seen a situation where I'm like, oh, that person got it because of that.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
They got it because they deserved it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, but what if somebody did get it because of that? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, they're gonna have to prove themselves.
Yeah.
Like you can't lie on a resume. It's gonna show at the end of the day. Like they don't have to keep you.
It could get you in through the door.
Right.
But are you gonna stay there, or are they gonna kick you out?
I'm gonna keep hitting you with a question on that. Are you opposed to somebody getting through the door just because of who they are and not because of they may have?
Yeah, I am opposed to that. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Oof. People are gonna be mad at you right now.
No, I think that no one should be looking at the color of the person's skin, the type of name that they have. They should be looking at their credentials.
Okay, make that a clip, Yusuf, by the way.
I'm just saying, like everybody should be. Listen, we all. It's like at the end of the day, if somebody works hard, goes to school or whatever, learns their skill, and they are good at their skill, and they know what they're doing, then they deserve that job.
And if they get the job based off of being a female, being a minority, color of the skin, or background-wise, religion that they follow, you don't agree that they should just get the job based off of that situation.
And they don't fulfill the requirements?
How about they don't fulfill the requirements as good as someone else that's trying to get that same position?
Listen, if I was hiring, I would want the best person for the best position. I would not think about who they are.
And you want to share the 2 cents and get part of this viral clip? Or
I mean, okay, honest answer. I get where you're coming from. I do. But I think part of leveling the playing field is also giving opportunities to people who would have not had the opportunities otherwise. And what I mean by that is there's this program called the Wolverine Bar Association. And what they do is they give internship opportunities for first-year law students and connect them with these bigger firms. And this is geared towards students, who are people of color, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it helps people because realistically, a few hundred years ago, only a white man could become an attorney. So you have these people whose families and parents are attorneys, and everyone in their family's been an attorney, and they have the connections to set their kids up for success from the start.
Right.
And these diversity and inclusion programs are helping them get their foot in the door. So they have the credentials, but they're just giving them the stepping stone they need to get to where they want to be.
So what I'm basing my answer on is like a job, an actual job. Okay. But when for opportunities like that, like internships, programs to help them become better or to network or whatever, that's totally different, because you are absolutely right. A person that comes from, I don't want to say poverty, but a low income home, that probably have parents that have not, their first generation that graduated, 100% they should have opportunities to build their credentials and to do better and have those. But what I'm trying to say is more of like, this is like a person.
Once you're about to get hired at this point,
yes,
I'm hiring the best person with the best credentials.
Yes, okay. I'm thinking if I'm a principal and I want a teacher, right? And I'm sorry, like I'm gonna pick the one that I think is gonna best fit those students. And I do believe, however, just so I could make sure that people know this, you're in any environment, in any job or environment, you need it to resemble or mirror the type of students that you have. So if I have a diverse student load of number of students, that I'm going to make sure that I have teachers that are also matching the students, that kind of could understand them, connect with them. That's totally different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is,
every situation is different.
Just because you're Arab and, I'm not going to give you this job because you're Arab. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, if I see that you went to the school, but it's just because you didn't have a better networking internship, I would not use that against you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good points.
You guys are understanding what I'm trying to say.
It's good points. So being a hijabi, both of you guys, do you find that you are expected to represent all Muslims the moment you step into your job? And if yes, is it exhausting to kind of be like the spokesperson for your faith when you're just trying to do your job?
So, fun fact, I put on a scarf a little bit over a year ago now.
Okay.
And when I first, started working, in the legal field, interning at different places, I would not get the same amount of questions I do about Islam as I do as a Muslim, as a visibly Muslim woman.
Wow.
So, in the past, I'd get like maybe one question here and there when they'd see me praying and they just ask, what are you doing? But now, people have questions like, can you eat this? What can't you do? What can you do? If we're going to this event, are you allowed to do this stuff? And I understand that part of that, it comes from them wanting to respect me and make sure that they're including me in whatever we're doing. But also, yeah, I think they do see us as spokeswomen.
Do you feel comfortable being that person?
To an extent. I feel comfortable answering what I know. If I don't know the answer, I'm not going to answer it, but I will give them, lead them to someone who can answer it.
Love that. Abid, what are your thoughts on that, just in general?
Anytime, anyone asks me certain questions, I say, listen, I'm not perfect. The religion is, I try my best. But I love people when they ask me questions. I feel like, to me, that's more better than them assuming. But at the same time, like you said, if I don't know, I'll tell them I don't know that, answer, and I'll try to figure it out. Or like you said, let them know who can answer it. But I would rather them ask the questions, be curious without them being, ignorant and assuming and just like, downplaying it. But definitely like them asking you to involve you and to make you feel comfortable, that's beautiful. So definitely ignorance is definitely there. I'm gonna give you guys a short story, because this is kind of how I got my job at my first school. I remember I was applying and there was another man who was applying who was a lot more I guess had a degree. I was still working on my I think associates at that time. Like I was going into to be a para, but he actually already had a computer degree, but he just wanted to go into the school. And long story short, he didn't shake the principal's hand because she was a female, he was a male, and he was Muslim, and she thought that was rude. She didn't know that we don't shake hands. And then I came in and they needed like support at that moment. And I just jumped in and started helping them. And they took, obviously, that's how I got my job. So, and then later on I told her, I'm like, he didn't do it on purpose to be rude or whatever. We just don't shake hands. So like at that situation right there, kind of he lost a job opportunity. So that's, I would rather have someone to like, maybe ask a question or maybe he should have told her something. But I would like I like when they ask questions and when they understand why we do what we do.
I do too, especially because sometimes I feel like it opens the door for them to learn more about Islam.
Mhm.
I know so many people who became Muslim just because, you know, they had a coworker who was, you know, practicing and they'd ask them questions and one thing led to another and subhanAllah, like they converted.
Absolutely.
Yeah, ain't nothing wrong with answering people's questions as long as you know what you're talking about. Like you said, I think it's a great. I mean, that's what we're supposed to do, aren't we? You know, as Muslims, we're supposed to share the knowledge if we are, you know, we know what the knowledge is. So that always happens, and as long as you're giving them the right information, I hate just telling somebody something that I know might sound confusing or I don't know why it's like that. I don't even give them that answer because I don't know why the ruling is the ruling, you know, if that makes sense.
Sometimes we even religiously we don't know why a certain ruling is a ruling, but we believe that, you know, Allah's right, and
Yeah,
you know,
you just go with it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I know about that. Like you listen and you obey like certain things.
So this next question might be news to you because it was news to me. Right, when I read it, I was like, you know what, we got to include this question because I think I want to know your opinions on it. So according to data, all right, it suggests that there is a hijab penalty in hiring, and what that means is, you know, employers assume that a woman in a scarf will be passive or hard to relate to. So in your experience with maybe not your own, but maybe talking to people, do you feel like there's like specific industries where the hijab is still seen as like a brand risk? Like kind of growing up, you didn't see movies with people with hijab, right? Now you kind of see in the background, you see them walking in, you know, NYC, you'd be like, oh, there's a hijab right there. And like modeling, you know, never was hijab models. Now, you know, it's starting to, you know, be out there. So like, in general, do you think like there's like a hijab penalty out there, or people be like, man, you know, they're hard to deal with, you know, they're so different than us that we rather just hire this person? Or do you feel like there's like a profession out there that like kind of like shuts it down on hijabs for sure?
You know, I continue to say, like, we're blessed in Michigan in general, and in certain parts of Michigan we're blessed. Um, maybe in the states that are not predominantly
Muslim.
you know, yeah, definitely. Um, apparently, even like when news,
Anchors.
yeah, there was this one girl I was following on TikTok. I forgot her name, but they gave her a hard time as well.
That's a good point.
So I think for certain fields, but I wouldn't be able to answer that question like
How about you, Amir?
confidence.
I wouldn't necessarily call it a hijab penalty, but I would call it like maybe a practicing Muslim penalty. And let me clarify what I mean by that. So she just talked about shaking hands, you know, especially for women in entering male dominated fields. There's a lot more men in upper level roles that we'd have to interview with that we can't shake their hand. So half the time when I'm going to these interviews and it's a man, I have to figure out how am I going to respectfully explain to this person, I can't shake your hand, and also explain that it's a religious reason. That way they don't dock me on it, you know.
And they do,
and
as you can tell.
Because some people do, you know, they're not supposed to, but it happens.
Yeah.
And so you got to make sure. So yeah, there definitely is one. But that being said, it depends on the field you're entering, and it depends who you're working in with. We're very lucky to be living in Michigan because, like you said, most people in Michigan, especially in the areas surrounding Dearborn and Dearborn Heights and Hamtramck, are aware of the Muslim faith. They know what it entails. They know what we can and can't do just because they have a Muslim friend. So they know, like, hey, they're not going to do this. They're not going to do this. If they're not doing this, it's not because they're rude or they don't just respect you or anything like that. It's because they religiously can't do it and they're just staying true to their religious beliefs, and that's fine.
And a lot of the times now, honestly, people, once they know that you're Muslim and like let's say that you're actually a practicing Muslim, they're like, oh, we want to work with this person. This person is gonna, you know, in his religion he can't lie and he can't cheat us, or he's gonna give us 100%, you know. So it's kind of like a, depending on where you are.
Yeah.
But a
leg up. It gives you a leg up.
For sure. I'll never forget Mr. Sarvello. He passed away. But he used to always say, like, you know, you Muslim women are the most intelligent woman. Like, once you get to start talking to you and getting to, you know, see where your mind is at. And he was just always in awe of, like, how we thought and how we did what we did.
Very good man, Mr. Sarvello. And well, since we're talking about Mr. Sarvello, Yusuf, believe it or not, that's going to lead us to our final ad of today. And I know it's going to be crazy to hear, but we're already moving into the last third of the show as well. But shout out to Mr. Sarvello and the Hanley International Academy. So let's go ahead and run Hanley's ad. Let's be honest. If you're looking for the place that has the best K through 8 school for your child, then the choice should be easy, and that's Hanley International Academy. Hanley International Academy is a school that treats every student and staff like their own family. It's even in their vision statement, educating your child like our own. The academics there are great. The athletics there are great. Thank you to the staff and administrators at Hanley for educating our leaders of tomorrow. To learn more about Hanley, you can visit their website at hanleyacademy.com or call them at 313-875-8888. So you kind of brought this up last one, and you actually was a great point. Was media? I think is the number one place, because if you think about it, name me 5 Muslim women hijabis that are in American media, and I can't do it. I can't think of 5 that are wearing the hijab. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just Muslims, but are that's showing it. So it's something that's still happening, because when you're in the media and you're like wearing the hijab and you're speaking on Channel 7. You're representing Channel 7.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if any company is still comfortable with that. So this kind of goes off of that. So when a Muslim woman enters politics too, by the way, that's another big one. You're wearing that hijab, there's not that many. Who do we have?
Then they get called out.
And they get called out. So, so she,
and judged again, for every word that they say.
Exactly. So is the mental toll of these public facing jobs just too high for a lot of Muslim women? I mean, do you think it is?
Yeah. So I don't know how to explain this, especially with the higher roles, the public being in the public eye. When you, I don't want to say like the wrong thing, but I feel like it is. So it's very difficult, especially when you have a family. I feel like when you have a husband and kids, and being in that high stress environment, it does take a toll on you. I haven't experienced it, but I can only imagine it, because just as women, we still need to have that nurturing side, or when we come home, we're home and we can focus on our family. But I could just only imagine that high stress of constantly the world having access to being able to say whatever they say want to say about you and all of that. And I know that baggage is hard to carry. People can say like, they have thick skin or whatever, but I don't know. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
At the end of the day, people are only human, and there's only so much they could deal with.
Yeah.
So it's important for them to have themselves like a good support system,
Yeah.
So by supporting yourself with friends and family, and also like, relying on Allah,
yeah,
it could hopefully make that baggage easier. Because at the end of the day, like I think you were trying to hint at this, but there is a double standard for women in the media versus men, and they are usually held to a higher standard, especially Muslim women. So they do have more to deal with than others may.
So do you guys think that like having to deal with all of that is that's why we don't see so many Muslim hijabi wearing women in politics or in the media? You think it's because not a lot of them want to even deal with that? Is that fair to say?
I mean, maybe it's a factor, but I don't think that's the reason. I think we have Ahmad right now. She's can't remember if she's a Congress member.
But Minnesota.
Minnesota, yeah. We have her. She's in a position of power, and hopefully she's inspired more women to become, to enter these positions of power. And I feel like we got to remember that the era of bloom where everybody moved here was only like 50, 60 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So we're still getting this generation right now that's becoming leaders, that's going to be entering politics. So I can personally see an uprise in Muslim hijabi women entering politics and putting themselves in these leadership roles, especially as time goes on. Absolutely.
But I just want to kind of piggyback on what you were saying. But when you think of Ilhan Omar, they also like kind of attack her for her family values, and like they're like in her personal life. So it is a very hard position to have. You really need to have thick skin, and it's difficult. So I can see definitely the future, a lot of younger women going into it, but I could also see some just not even want to get involved into politics because it does get messy. I don't know.
No, you're right. It gets messy, but I think that's what people have to weigh before they decide to enter politics and figure out, is this worth it for me or not?
Absolutely. And some people are very passionate about it, so they're like, it is worth it,
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It's just interesting to discuss those kind of conversations because I mean, some people don't know the response to that question, and that's why it's good to.
It's like a person to person basis. Like if they really are very, very interested and they're passionate about politics, they're not gonna. To them, that's not gonna matter. Someone who's not, I don't. I think it's more of an interest instead of a I'm afraid of this.
So, Amita, you are an attorney,
Yes.
which I don't think is considered a normal field for a Muslim woman wearing a hijab, if I'm correct, right? I mean, the percentages are not as
It's
high.
definitely not as high as
I was
others.
saying, do you have any friends that are hijabi attorneys?
Yes, I do actually. I met them in
Common.
law school. There were two hijabis in law school, but I will say like I'm not the only person who put on a scarf in law school. I don't know what law school does to us.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. But no, there's actually a few of us. Like in my year there was two other hijabi women, and then we also had ones in the years above me. So I think
There should be like a hijabi council that you guys kind of stick together. And then
we have MSA in law school, so
Okay. Okay. So for you, and from that perspective of being an attorney, and from a perspective of being a position of leadership, okay, what advice would you give to Muslim women who is trying to enter a unique field? What would you tell them?
reach out to people you know in that field or people you don't know. My LinkedIn DMs are always open. I've had people message me. If anyone's watching this and wants to send me a message on LinkedIn, I'm more than happy to respond and set up a time to meet for coffee or whatever and answer any questions you have. I've done that in the past with other attorneys, and they've always been willing to lend a helping hand. Nobody's going to say no if you want to ask them questions about their field. We love talking about it. We love passing down the knowledge and making sure everybody has the tools to set themselves up for success.
Love that. But what would you tell somebody that wants to take on a position of leadership and become a leader of leaders, I guess you can call it?
If you have the passion, do it. Honestly, I think, but what I would want to say is start at a young age. I really truly believe that students, especially 4th, 5th, and middle school, that 7 to 14, the Prophet tells us that's the years where you teach them. Those are the years where they should start learning their leadership skills or any skills that'll help them in the future. So definitely don't be afraid. For parents, don't be afraid to also push your daughters to become to pursue these fields that are not like predominantly women. And then just if you have the passion for it, feed into that for sure. Don't shy away from a certain field due to the fact that there's not a lot of women there, or you don't have any people that you can see that look like you in that field. Be the trailblazer, because at the end of the day, Allah gives us unique skill sets for us to find our purpose in this world, to make it better. So, hone on to them, and it doesn't matter if there's women in that field or not.
Yeah, because sorry, just to add on to that.
Yeah, for sure.
Someone has to be the first. If it's you, why not? If you're gonna be the trailblazer who breaks down that door, do it, and you're gonna be somebody people could look up to.
Absolutely. I know this is kind of like a little side story. When I was going to school, there was not any hijabi teachers, and then when my sister, she's 7 years younger, when she got into 3rd grade, one of the first hijabi teachers I met, and eventually, like now,
MashaAllah, we have
so many.
So
it starts off slow. There's always that one person that takes the leap, and then it follows. So if there isn't anyone, be that person.
First of all, great job. Great explanations of all the questions. I think you guys did an amazing job. And it's something that I'm happy that we were able to come together to figure out this conversation that we can have that can benefit people, because like I said, not a lot of people know the answers to these questions or don't know what a Muslim woman is thinking or feeling about these specific questions right here. So kudos to the both of you. And believe it or not, we're in the final word segment of our phase. So if you guys want to prepare what you would like to close out the show with, I'm going to just repeat and reiterate that. First of all, you can follow us and watch this full episode on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify under Oz Media. You can watch clips of this episode on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook under Oz Media. And you can find this full episode and all of our platforms at ozmedia313.com. Shout out to the sponsors: Juicebox, Holy Bowly, Wingfellas, Bates & Mocha, Chillbox, Malika Kebab, Hanley International Academy, The Family Doc, GE Preparatory Academy, and Royal Kebab. final word, final comments. We're gonna let Ameera go last to close out the show. So, Abir, any final words and final comments about today's topic or anything else?
I'm gonna take this time to mention this. At Woodworth this year, we are creating kind of like a challenge for the students. It's going to be called the Great Buzz, and students are going to go through real life scenarios where it's timed. There's going to be like 2-minute timers for each station, and they're going to have to answer on spot questions that will prepare them for the future, kind of like little mock stations. And each station we need a judge, and we want judges that are in that field, that are from the community, that are willing to give back their time to help the students better themselves. So if you are out there and this sounds something like something that you would want to do, please reach out to us. You can check our Instagram. That's Woodworth Hornets on Instagram, and hopefully you'll see more from this to come soon. So yeah, definitely we're gonna prepare them because we want them to understand that, you know, it's not just about school. We're not just going to school to learn math and reading for this moment. We want to prepare them for the future, and we want the community to give back to the students, so they feel like somebody has their back and somebody believes in them. So
sounds like the leadership teacher's idea on this whole event and stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be a whole thing, hopefully, inshallah.
Who's the leadership teacher over there at Woodworth?
You're looking at it.
Shout out to
I'm so passionate about this because at the end of the day, I feel like I wish someone invested time into me, especially in those years where they're still like, they're not. I feel like once you hit 14, you're kind of like, yeah, you can get mentored and stuff like that. You can still get mentored when you're older, but it's different when you're that young and you have that practice.
You're building skills for success.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, and then Ameera, final words and final comments.
So first of all, thank you guys for having me here today. I really enjoyed it, and I love talking about this. Second of all, don't let fear dictate your life when it comes to other people's opinions. For most people, you know what you should and shouldn't be doing. You know what makes you happy, and as long as you're happy and the people around you are happy and they support you, enjoy life. And obviously, beautiful thing about being Muslim, and if it becomes stress and overwhelmed with other people's opinions and stuff, we could take a break from this world 5 times a day minimum, and just reflect, so just enjoy life.
I love that. And also the month of Ramadan is also a whole month where we can take a quick breath, recharge, and get going with that. So, and that's coming around the corner. So again, with that said, today was season 5, episode 18 of Oz Media's Motivate Me 313 podcast. We had Ameera, we had Abir, of course you have myself, Umar, as well. Today's topic was why the West gets Muslim women wrong. Not just a lawyer's perspective, but Mrs. Wayne County's perspective. Shout out to Ameera.
That's beautiful.
Shout out to Abir. Thank you guys for watching and listening, and we hope that you learned something, and we will see you all next time. Have a good one.